Hello, my beautiful baddies. Welcome back to yet another episode of Your Inner Baddie Speaking. I am so excited for this episode. I feel as if not only are we back to the love letter collection, and I feel like in the month of February, that's kind of the month everybody associates with love and all of that, and romanticizing relationships and all of those things. And I think it's a great time to really celebrate yourself and remember how much this is a really crucial time to show yourself the love that you've worked so very hard to give to yourself. And I feel kind of gets lost in translation. It's such a month that's so focused on external relationships, and I feel like sometimes we should really focus that energy more internally. And even if you have a relationship, you're happy and you're with somebody, that's all fantastic, but I think it's also still a great time to reflect on how much you love yourself, maybe check in with yourself, and just take time to sort of cherish yourself. I don't know, I feel why not romanticize the one constant in your life, which is you. You're gonna have your love throughout your entire life, so why not take a month where you get to maybe write yourself a love letter every day? I think maybe next year I might challenge myself to do that, actually. Or why not just treat yourself or do something for you that really represents how far you've come or how much you really have learned to love yourself. Or maybe just celebrate the fact that there are parts of you that you love now that you didn't love before. And this love letter this week is all about loving every part of yourself, which for me has taken a while to kind of love the dark with the light and all of that. We don't come with all just light pieces inside of us, and I wish that every part of me was just radiating happiness and joy and light and love. But I have to be honest, that's just not the case. There are parts of me that either are learned behaviors from people that kind of showed me behaviors that I didn't love, but I ended up learning them and then ended up doing those behaviors either to other people or honestly using them as maybe a self-defense mechanism, or even just using them towards myself, which sounds very odd, but there's not all just a little Bury sighting for those who are watching. It's not all light and roses inside. And so loving every piece of yourself, especially when you're going through your journey, can be difficult, because those are the times where those darker pieces are the ones that you're more focused on. Whenever I'm feeling depressed, or I'm feeling down on myself, or I'm feeling like I've been hurt, or I'm angry, or there's just something going on that's making me feel more like I'm in my sort of darker phase, I guess, or just in a darker place, those are the ones, those are the pieces that I will focus on. I won't focus on the fact that I try to hype up my friends and I try to make them feel as confident as possible, or I don't focus on the fact that I give unconditional love to my cat, or I don't focus on the fact that there are people who I give and receive love from. So sometimes it can be hard to see those lighter elements when you're in kind of a darker time in your life and you really focus on those. I don't like to label them as bad parts of you, because I don't really think that anyone has specifically bad parts. I think we have learned behaviors. I think we have self-defense mechanisms. I think that we have parts of ourselves that are hardened to the world because we felt like we needed that to survive. And when you're not in that position anymore, it's hard to shed those layers, or it's hard to see beyond that. And so I don't really think of them as like bad characteristics. I mean, obviously, like there are some downright wrong things, like yelling's not good and all of that. But like when you're in a place of hurt, obviously you can understand, not justify, but you can understand why certain behaviors you have. And it's hard to take like a real long look in the mirror and love those parts. And I think the only way that you truly get through some of those pieces of yourself and like really fully loving yourself is when you understand that you do have darker pieces to you. And if you learn to love those, or you learn to love yourself enough that those pieces aren't as large anymore, maybe they shrink down a little, maybe they're non-existent, or they're just kind of like in the background when sometimes you might get hurt again. And yes, those emotions or those feelings or those parts of you can come back up, but they don't become you, you know? But if you want to love yourself fully, you have to love the good with like the lighter parts of you, with the parts of you that you don't necessarily always want to look at, or the ones that you harp on in a bad time. And I've definitely been known when I'm struggling, like I will feel as if almost like I'm not worthy of love because I have dark emotions, I have anger that comes up, or I have bad ways of dealing with things sometimes, or I just feel as if I can't be loved unless I'm like fully this radiating, happy, joyful, pleasant person. And I mean, yes, we can be that most of the time, but it's just not realistic for anybody to be that all of the time. So loving all of those darker portions of yourself, I feel like are fully necessary. And those are the harder ones to like say that you love, you know? It's not as easy as being like, oh my God, I love my smile, or I love my, you know, vibrant personality, or I love the way that I treat people, or I love the way that like I receive love, or whatever it may be. It's not as easy to look at, you know, maybe your depressed side and say, I love that part of me too, because it's also me. And that part of me also deserves to receive love, not only from myself, but it deserves to receive love from others. And I think the more also, like the more that you love those parts of you, the more that you understand that those parts of you are worthy of receiving love. I used to think like when I would be really in a dark place, I'd feel maybe depressed or just really, really down. I'd feel really sad. I'd feel sort of unworthy. And I felt like when I was in that phase, or when I was feeling those things, or when I was in that portion of my life, that I wasn't worthy of somebody coming in and loving that part of me. And that can lead to a lot of things. I mean, it definitely led to me sort of putting on, not really an act, because it is a side of me, it's just not all of me, but I definitely, when I'm around other people, would try to always be the happy, bubbly, extroverted person that felt more lovable so that other people would love me. And now I'm very open about being all sides of me, and I struggle with it sometimes, especially in relationships. It's very hard to be vulnerable with a partner who you feel just more entangled with than you do like a friendship or a family member, or, you know, other loved ones. It's a little bit harder to kind of break down those walls, but I'm okay now with being like, I guess I would describe it as like messy. And like, it's not me being messy in the fact that like I'm fucking things up. It's just messy in the fact that like I'm okay with somebody seeing me be nervous or be anxious or be sad or be like frustrated. I'm okay with people seeing those sides of me. And the more that I show those sides, and because I'm accepting of them and I love them, the more that other people also get the chance to love those sides of me. Because as much as I wanted to say like, oh, you know, those pieces of me aren't worthy of love, I also wasn't showing them to people. So people don't get the chance to love those sides of you if they never see those sides. So not only is it like a good part of your journey to begin to love the parts of you that feel a little harder to love, but the more that you understand them, the more that you give love to them, the more that you will also show those sides of yourself, because you don't feel ashamed of them. You don't feel guilty for having them. And a lot of those emotions are attached to those, you know, those sides of your personality. And when you don't feel that way about them, you're more open to be fully yourself. And then you also attract people into your life, whether it be people who you already have in your life or new people in your life, to love those sides of you as well. So I think obviously it's important to love all of you, but it's difficult. And I think the biggest thing about starting to love those pieces is understanding that the guilt or the shame or the embarrassment of those sides of you don't just go away because you decide that you're going to start loving them. I have struggled when maybe in a relationship I learned the silent treatment from my father and I hated it, but I can sometimes feel like I have to trap my emotions inside in order to be loved. And so it's not me trying to be silent to a partner, but I feel like I have to trap it so that, like, it's as if it escapes, they'll stop loving me, or they'll have a reason to stop loving me. So it's like I want to so badly for them to understand what's going on inside, but I feel as if I have to choke it down to be loved. And so I've definitely done that in relationships where it's like you're withholding a part of you, and they're supposed to be there to love all of you. They're supposed to be there, you know, through thick and thin. They're supposed to be there through bad times and good times. But if you don't let someone in because you can't let yourself into those portions of you, they don't get the opportunity to love you at your full extent. And I want you to be loved for every single part of you. And I want you to have people in your life that know every part of you, because you deserve to be loved for all of you. And it is okay that we're not these happy beings all the time. That's so unsustainable, unachievable, and let's just be honest, like, it's not fun to fucking fake it. It's just not. It's exhausting. So the more that you decide to love yourself fully and decide to love certain parts of you that don't feel as lovable, the more loving you are to yourself, the more that people will also love those sides of you. And if they don't love those sides of you, that is just another way to clear people out so that you can attract better people into your circle. You should be loved for all of you. And fuck it, you should love yourself for all of you. This is a season of love, people. So with that, I think this love letter that I wrote to myself a while ago, I probably don't list every single portion of myself, but it was meant to be me writing down ways that I love myself, even when those portions of me seem very hard to love. So this is it. I love you. I love your heart and how deeply it feels everything. How deeply you love. How much you're willing to be there for someone else. I love that you cry for cats that don't have homes, people that have lost their way, and for loved ones that have been hurt. I love that you always empathize with others and try to understand them because it opens up your perspective. You try to see the good in everyone, even the people who have wronged you. And sometimes you might get mad that when you see the good in someone, when they choose to walk away from the good in you. But I think it's so brave that you hold on to the good and try to let go of the bad, that you still believe in the good in people even when they don't give you a reason to. And I love that you try every day. Well, maybe not every day, we're all human, but that you try every day to show that there are good people by being one yourself. Every time you get back up after you're hurt and choose to be good, see good, and do good, I see you, and I love you for it. You fall and you love and you get hurt and you get back up again. And I love watching you pick up the pieces and loving every single one. Every tear you've shed, every time someone didn't show up for you, the parts that held on to hope, the parts that were angry, the parts that broke because another person let you down and blamed it on you, and the parts that broke because someone said they loved you, but their actions never showed any love. Every part of you loves beyond abandon, even if you're afraid you'll be abandoned. And I admire you for that. And I love that your heart will remain open even when you want to close it. I love you so much, and I want you to remember that when you don't feel loved, I love you. Every part of you is worth loving, and that's why I love every part of you. I think sometimes when we're on our journey to fully love ourselves and we're on our journey to build our confidence and be, the person that we've always dreamed of being or that we always knew that we were, I think the biggest part of the journey is not like being that bad bitch who's like super confident and just rocks it. I mean, I love her, and that's what we are searching for. That's what we are working towards. But the part of you that feels most unloved, the part of you that feels unlovable, the part of you or parts of you that you don't want to say out loud, those are the parts of you that need your love the most. Those are the parts of you that were denied love. Those are the parts of you that you denied yourself of loving. Those are the parts of you that feel like they have never known what love has felt. And I say that from full experience of feeling like those parts of me are just like I have to get rid of them. And I hope and I wish that on this journey of yours, you embrace those parts, because those are the parts that need love the most. It's not the parts of you that you've loved already and you love when they come back up and you love when you see them and you love when you feel them. Those need love as well, don't get me wrong. But they felt your love. They felt other people's love. And in order to feel like you are really feeling whole, you have to tend to the pieces that have felt neglected. And when you love them and you water them and you tend to them and you care for them, no matter how difficult it is, because those are the difficult ones, they fight back more. It's almost like they feel like they have to refuse love. It's the same thing when you feel like, oh, someone can't love that part of me, and you feel like it should be refused, that love. That's the very part that should learn how to be a part of you that feels loved, that can shine. Because the more that you love it, the less power it has over you of feeling like that's your dominating trait. I used to feel like my anxiety and my depression were like these dominating traits because they were taking over because I would not love them. And I deserve love when I'm sad, when I'm angry, when I'm mad, when I'm frustrated, when I feel like fucking yelling. I deserve love in those moments. And maybe I wouldn't feel like yelling, or maybe you wouldn't feel like crying if you just loved those parts of yourself that you don't feel like giving love. And I hope that no matter where you are, no matter where you are in your journey, no matter where you are in your life and what support system you have, I hope that you decide, whether this be the first step, whether this be in the middle of your journey, or whether this be at the end where you feel like you are finally ready to give 100% of love to all of you, I hope that you take that leap to decide that every single part of you deserves love. And I hope that even if you're feeling happy today, embrace it. And maybe extend that happiness to the part of you that doesn't always feel happy. And maybe today's the day that you decide to give that part of you that you maybe you've abandoned it. Maybe give it a hug. And then hold on. And then nurture it. Give it love for a long time. And I promise you that when you love the darkest parts of yourself, it doesn't feel so dark anymore. We're just out here trying to love ourselves, you know? And with that, say it with me. I'm a fucking baddie. All right. Love y'all till next time.